Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. I'm here to tell you about the special event that's happening on August 31st of 2019. All of the Duckfeed people are getting together. All of them. Every single one. That's not true. But we're getting quite a few Duckfeed hosts and podcasts all in the same place to do a live show that we are calling Duckfest. It will be August 31st, 2019 at the Clinton Street Theater in Portland, Oregon. Tickets will be on sale soon by the time you're hearing this, so go to Duckfeed.tv and check all of that stuff out. I will be there. Me and Gary will be doing a special Days of Future cast, and I will also probably be popping over on some of the other various podcasts that we're doing, like Bonfireside Chat, Everything to Guppy, and some local Portland podcasts as well. So, again, August 31st, 2019, Portland, Oregon, Clinton Street Theater, patreon.com/DuckFeedTV.
Pass the sausages, Red.
Pass the sausages, Red. Pass the sausages, Red.
Look out! Pass the sausages, Red. Pass the sausages, Red. Pass to you. Pass the sausages, Red. Look out! Pass to you. Pass the sausages, Red.
Pass the sausages, Red.
Pass the sausages, Red.
I love the smell of bacon in the morning. Pass the sausages, Red.
Pass the sausages, Red.
Pass the sausages, Red.
I love the smell of bacon in the morning. Pass the sausages, Red. Pass the sausages, Red.
I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where Gary and I are covering a whole lot of X-Men animated shows. We're currently on X-Men Evolution. Gary, how are you today, sir?
I'm good. I'm happy to be in teen time.
Teenage time.
We're in teen time.
You could not pay me
teenage time.
enough money to go back to my teenage years. Like, there's no... I mean, I guess maybe, like, once you get into the millions of dollars, I'd be like, okay, if I have the same knowledge, but, like, I don't want to relive high school. Like, I don't want to go through all that bullshit again.
You don't want to time quake it. You don't want to, like, go through and not be able to make any, changes. But if you just like, Days of Future Pasted yourself, like Wolverine back into the past, and you're a teenager, I think that would actually be pretty slick. Because, like, in some ways it would be shitty, like, high school. But I'd also be like, oh wait, I don't actually have to do this. I'll just not go.
I have a problem with all of these hypotheticals, which is that I'm what seems like in the minority of having a really good relationship and a wife that I love. So, like, any stuff that I change in my life would just be negatively impacting my current life, and I'm like, I'll just leave it alone. I'm good. Like, there were some shitty years in there, sure, but it led me to this, and I'm happy. So
yeah, I think like the yeah, I can see. I mean, like, I'm happy with my life now too, but I just don't know how much the miserable part contributed to that. I'm also extremely horny for more life. Like, me in the Dark Gift. Like, I don't want to die. So, like, anything that makes me, die less soon is good to me. Even though I say that, but then of course, because everyone operates on a fucking Wishmaster principle. Like, when I went back to high school, I'd be like, oh great, like I'm gonna try to live life as its fullest, and then immediately Dead Man's Curve.
Yep.
Just immediately, where's my Gary B? Just I'd be last kissed.
Good old cock coming to grind you in the wheel just because you try to make an opportunity for yourself, right?
Yeah, 100%. That's the thing with, and I've talked about this on a couple of shows now, but that whole, like, going back in time to kill Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, oh, like, you shouldn't do it because we don't know what will happen. I'm like, well, yeah, the Holocaust might not happen, though. Like, why not risk it? Like, fuck, man. Like, yes, it might suck, but also, Holocaust, you fucking idiots. Like, it's a really big deal. It's probably worth the risk.
6 million lives. Like, maybe we could consider
6 million people.
Yeah.
Like, the genocide, Like, just this whole, like, oh, we don't know what would happen. Yeah, I know. But, like, you don't think that's a good gamble? Like, you don't think the Holocaust is a good gamble? Yeah, I'd fucking smother Hitler in the crib. Fuck it. Guy's a real jerk.
Hey, this is not a Binding of Isaac podcast. We cannot talk about killing babies for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And biting each other's toenails,
babies
which
killing,
is what I'm pretty
please.
sure I heard on that podcast at one point.
We do not bite each other. I think that Will bites his own toenails, and I am disgusted. Please get that relationship correct.
That is so disgusting.
Because that's several steps from me biting his fucking toenails, which how dare you? And also, like, so please get it right as far as the disgusting habits. All I do is pick my nose and fart with impunity. Those are the disgusting things I do at home.
I
So.
hearing Will say that out loud with his mouth on a podcast, I like stared at my radio in disgust and was like, did I get like a special private feed and this is not going out to the public?
Yeah.
Because there's no way he said this out loud with his mouth on a podcast that goes out to dozens, if not hundreds of people.
Have you listened to the session that Brayton subbed in for me?
Mm-hmm.
At some point, there's like a section there where they're talking about eating boogers.
Yep.
And I had to like actually stop listening because I was gonna be sick.
Yep.
Like I think at one point Will literally says salty treat, and I wanted to fucking die.
Nope. I want to get off this podcast right now.
You're one of my best, like Will. You're one of my best friends. It's fucking disgusting.
You're a super duper gross dude, man. I'm sorry. I don't know you at all.
Like he's not in real life. You're gonna meet him and you're gonna think he's like the hunchback under like this like toe chewing goblin, but he's not. He's very put together. Doesn't seem like somebody who'd eat his own boogers.
Speaking of that, we should probably talk about that.
Somebody who'd eat their own boogers
on that podcast. Yeah, Xavier, everybody. No.
Yes. Yeah. Ah, yes. Delicious. A salty treat. How are you doing, Jeremy?
I'm doing very well. I'm excited to be able to get to meet Will Hughes, your co-host on Everything to Dumpy, because you guys are planning.
Let's talk about it.
Duckfest.
For
a long time, I think you guys were trying to get together the idea of a convention or some sort of group activity to get listeners and you guys in the same place at the same time. And it's finally coming to a fruition of a full day of podcasting.
A full day. We went for Fest rather than Con. Con was the original plan, but the spaces that we could rent were too expensive. So instead we went with a theater. We're going to the stage. Duckfeed on stage. So we got a movie theater we're renting out. That also does like stage productions. It's where like play festivals and where Rocky Horror is every week. It's like this old Portland art theater. But great. It's big and beautiful. And we're gonna do a full day of podcast programming of like Duckfeed stuff, and then also a couple of local podcasts that I am a fan of. That is gonna be awesome because it's gonna expose more people to them. And then also the fringe benefit of me and Cole not talking for 8 hours. So there's that.
Yep.
And you're coming out.
I am. I'll be there. We're going to do a Days of Future.
Show, we're going to do something.
We're going to do something. We haven't quite nailed down to what yet.
Yep.
But it's also, we need to mention it's on August 31st. So save that date. Watch Duckfeed social media, Facebooks and podcasts and Twitters and whatnot to be able to find out ticket information. It's going to be just that day, and I think there's condiments and drinks
a
meetup that night.
Yes.
At a barcade.
So it's going to be like a full day thing. It's like it starts early, like relatively early in the day. So 4. We're gonna get up, work out, and then go.
Excellent, good deal.
It's like a full day, and then we're gonna do a meetup at a barcade that is like after a whole day of. It's like a walk, like a long walk though. Like so, after a full day of sitting. People can, of course, take lifts and stuff, but I'm probably planning to walk. Go to this very excellent barcade nearby and have some drinks, and they have food and stuff, and they have arcade games, and just hang out and do kind of a big meetup.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Get shit-faced with my bros.
Get shit-faced after like a whole day of being like dehydrated and stressed. I'm looking forward to throwing a whole bunch of whiskey into that. And then I have nothing on Sunday. Pretty great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sleep. It's going to be really fun though, and we've wanted to do it for a very long time, and I'm really excited because it seems like it's happening. Hopefully, this is a direct result of people who, if you listen, if you're a patron, this is why this is happening. Like the Patreon was doing so well. We're not doing this to make money. Like we will lose money on this between theater rental and flying people out and hotel and stuff, and that's great. Like we're not doing it for that. We just want to have like kind of a party. We're doing it as a celebration. So if we continue to do well and everything, like we will continue to do these. And they won't be locked to Portland. A couple people have been like, oh, like, why Portland? And it's like, well, because 4 people who are on Duckfeed shows live here. So that's 4 less flights and 4 fewer hotel rooms that we have to rent, which is what makes it feasible.
Wait, you and Will and,
Brayton and Nick.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So then it ends up with, if all 4 of us came out, and all 4 of us wouldn't have to come out, but if all 4 of us came out, that's an extra, like, like $3 or $4 grand. Like with hotels and stuff, like $3 grand, it's expensive. So airfare in this country is no joke. And
don't I know, because I sat down at a bar with and it took me about 3 beers to figure out the perfect flight to get to and from Portland from the various airports that are within driving distance of me, and be just relatively considerate with my time and energy and effort and the budget.
Yeah.
It was a
finding
fucking
the balance
mess.
It is absolutely a mess. Yeah, but it's going to be it's real cool to get everybody in one place. And I think it'll be really, really fun. We're planning on doing a little bit of some cross-pollination stuff. So I didn't talk about this, but whatever me and Cole decide to do for Bonfireside Chat, we'd like you to join us for that.
Oh, wouldn't this be a bad time for me to turn that down?
Yeah, you're no. I was contracted to do 45 minutes a day as a Futurecast, and the rest of the time I'm going to go check out Portland without you boners. So
I'm going to get out of the smelly theater and go walk into some nature.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're gonna do some kind of cross pollination.
Awesome.
I think we're gonna see if Will wants to do Abject Suffering with us again and stuff like that. So we're gonna kind of try to do some mix ups, and it should be very fun. And just keep watch that space. It won't be too long before we have tickets available, because I know we keep telling people to save the date. If you're planning on traveling, it is safe. The theater is confirmed. However, since we don't have tickets up, some people might feel a little nervous about that. We will have tickets soon.
Yeah.
So I am assuring you, the 31st, bearing somebody dying, right?
And not
things
me.
are outside of our control.
If I die,
if Jeremy dies, the show goes on.
That would still happen. But
the first annual Jeremy Greer Memorial Duckfest.
I want it to be 8 hours of you guys just listening to an MP3 player of me talking on podcast, but with the other person removed, just me, just my voice.
Yeah. And we're just gonna cut Chris out of Monster of the Week and just have you laughing and saying "hunk" every couple minutes. And then,
there you go.
I think that's what that show is. And then
that's it. You nailed it.
Yeah. Actually, man, I'm just thinking about that. If anybody did die, that would make this really tough.
It would be such a huge bummer.
Because I want the energy to be really fun and everything. But if we had to have the clip show with pictures of Nick with Candle in the Wind or something like that, it would really kill the momentum.
If it's me, just so you know, don't use Candle in the Wind. I would much prefer November Rain. So just to get that out there. I think
November, you got big November Rain energy. To honor your people, don't we have to do the Saints Go Marching In?
No, I'm okay. I'm not that big. I'm not that big of a football fan, so no worries.
Okay. Let's talk about. So everyone come to that.
Yes.
Let us talk about X-Men Evolution. We're talking about 2 episodes today, episodes 5 and 6. First one is Mutant Crush, directed by Frank Power and written by Catherine Lawrence. A large mutant boy, Fred Blob Dukes, enrolls in Bayville High. Large mutant boy, Fred Blob Dukes. All that together is very good. Large mutant boy, Fred Blob Dukes. Enrolls in Bayville High. It is soon apparent that Fred has many issues to deal with, including his powers and his feelings about Jean. That is true.
Yes.
This episode takes a fucking turn, though. I was not expecting this to turn into mutant misery, but
this it does. Blob gets super serious super fast on Jean, to the point where you're like, oh, this is why you're a supervillain, because you don't have any boundaries or control.
No, yeah, this is one of these things too where I think that something that is going to be an issue this season, I was thinking about with these 2 episodes, is the idea that, by putting the kids in the same school and having the Brotherhood, the Hellions kids together, I think we're supposed to think that these kids are being corrupted, by Mystique and Magneto. But there's a lot of them people are jerks to them, but they're huge assholes.
Yeah,
and they're playing this nice guy card with Jean again in the space of 2 episodes. We just had Avalanche.
I was about to bring up Avalanche because I'm just going to steal the test scores. Ha. No, wait, I'm going to destroy this entire school and everybody inside of it because this chick turned me down. Excuse me?
Well, yeah, and fucking nice guying Jean and Blob nice guys are too. There's lots of nice guying going on. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I think it just kind of fucks up the sympathy that I think we're supposed to have for some of these characters because they seem just really shitty. This Blob story is what if people were jerks to a jerk?
Yeah.
Because he's a huge asshole. He's not, very sympathetic in this.
And he's a huge, sensitive asshole. He's a large, sensitive mutant boy asshole.
So put that in your porn tags for Because I'm looking for sensitive boy asshole, please. The
Oh, you left
Yeah,
out
that's-
mutant. Sorry. You
Yeah,
gonna have
yeah.
1 million search results. Uh-oh.
no, it's an ocean of starfish. So this is So we'll get into it, but it is a weird kind of thing tonally. But I generally like these two episodes, just fine. It's just kind of like they go in weird places. So we start off. We are doing it at a monster truck rally.
Woohoo!
Like, where is Bayville?
Where is Bayville? Is it in
I
Florida?
assumed California, but like, yeah, this is big Florida energy.
I'm pretty
here.
sure
Like,
it is in New York. Like, I think they
Oh.
because it's near the Xavier's campus, right? Like, it's near.
Yeah,
So it's got to be near Westchester somewhere. But yeah,
this is pretty amazing New York vibes from this monster truck scene.
yeah, which is
Yeah,
filled
we'll get
with
to those.
people that moved from Florida to New York because it's all just a bunch of Florida expats.
Yep, exactly. Yep, and they're doing an exposition of the world's strongest teen. So imagine that.
Weirdly specific, like world's
Mhm.
strongest category,
I
right?
came for teens.
Like imagine graduating from 18 to 19 and going from first to worst.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as you turn 20, you're just
Yeah.
like, your little gem in your palm starts glowing, and it's like, well, now I'm the world's weakest 20-year-old, strongest teen division. And this is Blob.
Yes.
And Blob, they changed his powers a bit in this. He is like an all-purpose super strength guy in this
Mhm.
show, as opposed to just being big.
Mystique is also there, and Mystique watches as they kind of rig him up between these two monster trucks, almost like they were going to draw and quarter him. But
Yeah.
they rig him up, in, which would be like the thing that could the bad side of what could happen here would be just horrifying, and the good side isn't much better because like these trucks take off in either direction. They have chains attached to his arms. He pulls them back and slams them together, and then like somehow that process lifts him up in the air and he lands on top of the trucks and then falls off on his ass and everybody laughs at him, which is hilarious. Like I would laugh at Blob.
It's funny because it's like him lifting two monster trucks up in the air seems pretty impressive, and also like, again, we talked about, we don't know how mutants are in this world. Like nobody cares that he's clearly a mutant, I guess, which is fine. But like he falls down, and it is funny that he falls down and everyone laughs at him and stuff. But it's like, not a quarter of a second ago, he lifted up two fucking monster trucks, guys.
Yeah.
Like, it just kind of surprising that, like, no one's just like, holy shit, like, I can't lift up one monster truck. This team is strong. But, fat guy fall down, go boom, you know?
I got behind a truck carrying, like an 18-wheeler carrying monster truck tires. They had, like, probably 12 on them, and I'm assuming that like a rally was somewhere around, so this is how they transport the tires, because they don't just drive that shit down the interstate, right? And I don't even think I could like budge one of these tires. Like, was bigger than my fucking car. It is ridiculous. So
Yeah. So strong boy.
Gene and Wolverine
everyone laughs at him, and
Gene and Wolverine are also in the audience. Blob, I'm not going to call him Fred during this, by the way. He's just going to be Blob to me. But Blob goes into his dressing room to trash it because he's so mad he's laughed at. And then Mystique shows up and says like, oh, hey, well, if you don't want to be laughed at, let's take you to a teenaged high school full of beautiful mutant people with great powers.
You know where you don't get laughed at for being different? High school.
High school.
Yeah. Do you know where fat people are accepted? High school. So good job, Mystique. And I love this too. This Wolverine and Jean. So they're clearly there to recruit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I guess I didn't really put this together. Maybe they are in Florida, and he's going to go to high school in New York.
Oh, I guess
this could not be
that
local.
does make sense. Yeah, but also Jean is in high school, and you send her out with Wolverine. Are you crazy?
Yeah, I would not think Wolverine and Jean are the two people to go scout the monster truck circuit for mutants. But I love that the Jean and Wolverine's, like, all of this stuff, the fulcrum on which this episode rests is they were just a little bit slower getting to him.
Yep.
Like, great job, X-Men. You know, like, Mystique just got there first, and he just shuts the door on them, and they're like, well, fuck, I guess we don't get to talk to him at all. Let's go home. And they do. Like, that's what happens.
They just
recruited
leave
him.
all down. Can you imagine going back to Xavier and being like, we fucked up. Wolverine wanted a fucking hot dog, so we had to stop at the concession stand.
Yes. Did Magnus delay you? No. We just got to the room a little bit late, actually, and he closed the door on us, and We're like, I don't know, our flight's in 6 hours. Let's go to the airport and kill time. You know, it's very weird. So we get the intro at this point.
Yes.
And we're back at the school where Mystique is slowly indoctrinating Blob, gives him his class schedule.
Yes. And he's very confused about like just how to read in general. He leaves, immediately like grabs this handsome football player by the collar of his neck and just like pulls him out. It's
like a kitten.
Tell me where to go. And the guy's like, you're a fucking idiot. And so Blob just picks up an entire fucking like locker and is about to like smash this dude in the middle of high school.
Smash this dude into jelly. Yeah. The whole thing is very weird because if I got picked up bodily like that and someone's like, where should I go? I don't think I'd be like, the circus. You know, like, yes, you're a cruel high school jock, but also like have some fear. Yeah. No one is acknowledging Blob's super strength in this, and he's making no attempt to hide it. And I think it's all very weird. So yeah, he's about to smash him with a locker, but Jean comes up and gets everyone to calm down. She's very nice to him. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what do your friends call you? He's like, I don't have any friends. And she's like, well, okay, well, I'll be your friend. Like, I'll help you with the schedule. And this is like, so like, I like this as an idea. Yeah. Right before he gets totally creepy. Like, it's like, oh, like, this person who's only been shown cruelty, like, maybe that is why they are a cruel monster. He's going to be nice to this guy, But it turns out that goes wrong.
Of course it does. It is the X-Men.
Yeah.
We go over to the cafeteria where Kitty and Jean are talking about Fred. And Kitty's just like, oh, is that the dude that you guys went to recruit? And she's like, yeah. And then we have this like comedy scene of Blob like knocking people out of the line and like basically threatening the lunch lady to fill his not plate but tray up. Like everyone else has plates on the tray, and he's like, no, just put it directly on the tray. I'm a garbage person. I don't know why this is funny. I don't know why this is in a children's cartoon. Like, what are you doing?
Amazing. Like the whole like no hold the plate.
Yeah, I don't need a plate. Just give me a tray.
Are you crazy? Just fill this tray up. And apparently today at lunch, this high school is serving one of everything. Because at first it just starts off with like colored slop, but there's hamburgers and hot dogs and pizzas and donuts on there. It's just like, get one of every menu item there. I was thinking about that I had a recent irritation when I was trying to get a channel added to cable. Mm-hmm. For me, and I don't have the right setup, so they have to sell me this huge package.
Of course, yeah.
And I was thinking about it. It's like if you went into a restaurant and you had to order one of everything on the menu to get what you wanted. It's like you have to go in and give me one of everything because I want a Big Mac, but I have to have every single sandwich on the menu. That's what cable is like. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anywho,
it's very bad.
He gets one of everything.
Yes,
it's very frustrating. There's also this subplot that's happening with Cyclops and Rogue.
Yeah, they are assigned to play to read monologues from Henry VIII together, and they're going to have to be a little romantic towards each other.
Yeah, so they have a scene together. Yeah, and if you remember from the last episode, like Rogue is scared of the X-Men. She thinks that they tried to kill her.
Because at the end of that episode, all of the X-Men tried to kill and help her. Like, that's what happened in that episode. And now she's Mystique just at a new school.
Yeah, for sure. It fucked with her there. So, they're going to pair up. That's kind of the subplot. We're in the cafeteria. The filler up thing happens. Kurt kind of shows up and he's, laughing at Rogue and Cyclops for being romantic. But unfortunately, Blob knocks a bunch of food on the football players and then falls over. This is a good note. Then rolls around in the filth, which is what happens.
It is.
This is a good sentence. Like, and then rolls around in the filth. Poor Blob.
And of course, his reaction to this, because everybody is laughing at him, is to grab the nearest weapons and to use them. So he's just chucking food at everybody in there. And of course, it turns into good old-fashioned food fight. Kitty gets splattered.
Which no one has ever seen in real life and has never actually happened in real life. It is just a thing from cartoons and shit.
I know.
Have you ever been in a food fight?
I've never been in a food fight. I want to say this is one of my coworkers was telling me this. I don't know if it was a baseball thing or a church thing, but they did like an organized food fight for the kids where like people brought in like like mashed potatoes with cauliflower in it, like bad food because they knew they were just going to throw it away. And I'm like, this is the most white person thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, this is fucking ridiculous.
It's pretty repulsive
that you guys like organized a food fight and brought bad food to it. Like, just make good food and eat it and have a good time. What are you doing? But yeah, other than that, I've never heard of anybody having a food fight in real life. So
yeah. Woof. Big woof. So they're having a food fight.
Yes.
I think it's Nightcrawler who calls it off too, because he's a fun-loving guy in this series.
Of course, yeah.
So food gets chucked around.
Mm-hmm.
Kitty gets splattered, and she's like, "I'm skipping dessert." It just goes and sinks through the floor. So poor shop teacher or whatever who gets to get telefragged by Kitty at that point.
Oh no, John Romero! I didn't know you were there. 666.
She finds the Easter egg in the school.
Every
to
Easter
graduate, you must defeat me, John Romero.
Every Easter egg in every video game is just John Romero's face from now on. Congratulations. This is Universe Romero-16. Jean tries to calm Fred down, and he's not really listening to reason. Picks up a giant table and is about to smash her with it. Psych blasts that, but Jean tells them kind of both to back off, and eventually Fred like calms down, and Cyclops leaves, and Rogue is leaving with him, and basically saying like, "Wow, you guys really take care of each other, huh? Like you guys really, you were really doing it well," and like. Which is kind of a good moment up until the point that Mystique interrupts and is like, "You guys need to get away from each other right now. Get the fuck out of here," because she doesn't want these two people bonding. So,
no, which makes sense.
Yeah.
There.
Jean and Fred, or excuse me, Blob, continue to talk, and Jean does the X-Men pitch, right? Like she says, "Hey, you don't have to be afraid of your powers. I got training. You know, you could come get training. Like, look what I can do." And she like picks up a chair and just destroys it. And I'm like, well, you're not going to be class fucking president now. That's school property, home girl. Looks like somebody just got 20 demerits.
Stay after school, write everything out.
House Xavier loses 20 points.
And I love Blob is not like, nobody is like, "Whoa, mutant" in the show. I need to get over expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like just like anybody being like, "Oh, mutants," because that's not what the show is about. And I'm so used to X-Men being about that. And this is just like, and it happens a lot in the next episode too. But Blob is just like, "Cool, you can really pound it." I'm like, well, hold up.
Excuse
For one,
me?
like, let's not use that word choice. And then like, second of all, like the fact that she can smash chairs good is what's impressing you about telekinesis.
Well, I mean, he has to.
That's weird.
He has to get up out of the chair to smash it. She could just do it with her mind.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, he has to hold it. So she's like, think about it. She leaves. He forgets his bag. She forgets her bag though. Blob picks it up and finds a picture of her and Cyclops and gets super mad.
Gets a little bit
tears
jelly.
Cyclops out of it. Yeah, he's getting jealous. He steps on it. So we're setting up this whole thing where it's like he's the first time somebody shows you friendship, like it can just give you a lot of feelings. Like I get that, right? Like he misinterprets it. It's how he reacts to it that makes him like a psychopath who I cannot root for.
Yeah, because up to this point, like you can feel a little sympathy for Blob. Like he's being pulled out of his home in Florida to put in this school with a bunch of very attractive mutant people, and now he's kind of on the low end of the totem pole because he's constantly kind of fucking up. And here's this one woman that's like just being friendly to him, but to him that's so different than what he's normally used to. And then of course this next scene happens where he's literally waiting for her outside school and tries to ask her out on a date, and she's like, "Actually, I'm kind of busy. I'm sorry, like maybe another time," and tries to walk off. And he literally starts like grabbing her and like pulling her along and demanding that she go out with him, and like drags her over to a construction site, which is like, okay, guys, what is happening at this school? Did Avalanche go here? Is that?
I mean, that could actually be literally it. Like they're rebuilding from Avalanche. Not to get all bonfireside chat with it, but like the regardless of which, this is gross. You can't force someone to go out with you. This is where you lose sympathy. Like even if you're a kid and it's just like, I don't know, man, like you don't do that. So he's being very gross. He's just like, and he's really being rough with her. Like he's got her like little forearm in his entire fist because he's huge, and he's just like yanking her around. So he's holding her and she's trying to throw things at him. throw like bricks and shit at him. Until eventually he knocks this dumpster into a scaffolding and the whole thing crashes down. He protects her from this, like, which is like it's supposed to be redemptive or whatever, but it's not. And this whole time, like, I thought this too. You have that like Jean forgets she has powers. I think that this is just supposed to be her not good at them, because she takes a long time to use them, and I keep thinking like, oh, why doesn't Jean just like rip this guy apart molecule by molecule? Like,
why doesn't Jean fly away?
Yeah, exactly. You know, like, just unmake this person. It's one thing. I mean, we're going to talk about it at length, like, later. But one thing in the Dark Phoenix movie I liked is when like Jean eventually gets tough and is just like literally unmaking people.
Yeah,
because she's the most powerful X-Man. Like, she's incredible, right? And I like it when she cuts loose in media. And this is before that. I think we're going to do some kind of Phoenix arc or something like that, and then she'll eventually get powerful. Here, she's just kind of a weak telekinetic. So she gets knocked out. She gets hit in the head with a brick.
Mm-hmm.
And she wakes up chained in Blob's fucking weird,
where
he lives by himself?
Where is this?
Yeah.
Where
is this?
What accommodations did Mystique give to Blob? I mean, we have a joke on Monster of the Week where they always end up in wet pipe factories because that's just like the background that it looks in.
Yeah.
And it's very much like that. It's like, oh, here's like random construction site. Here's broken brick factory for the X-Men to hang out in. And it's very much like, oh yeah, it's just a place. Who cares? But he's got her like tied down into a chair and he's prepared dinner. And it's so gross and so bad. Like, what are you doing, Blob? And then she tries to call Xavier, and I really thought that, because the way this is set up is she calls Xavier, we switch over to Xavier, and then he just ignores her phone call, like her mental phone call for like 30 minutes.
Voicemail, please.
Yeah, but it's just they wanted to do a weird time thing and show off this. So we actually go back 5 minutes, and it's really strange. But
it's very weird.
I just thought he was ignoring her, like, oh yeah, Jean's in trouble, but I've got to supervise this physical exertion real quick.
We'll talk later. He's and also Xavier sounds a lot like Bane to me in these episodes.
Yeah,
like,
you mentioned that.
A little bit of the like, you know, the yes, like he's got a little bit of Sean Connery in there now.
Mm-hmm.
That's like crept in, so he's like turned into Bane voice, and I think that's very great.
Weird.
So things are bad for Jean, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We cross over. Xavier and Wolverine are training Kitty with Nightcrawler, so they're playing football, and the idea is Nightcrawler has to catch her, and she has to run. But she forgets the phase and gets hit in the face with a branch, which, like, okay. And this is when Xavier gets the signal, and Wolverine immediately, like, jumps on his uniform and gets on his hog, and they start playing the Wolverine hog theme, which is going to get a lot of play in this episode.
Yeah.
Like, something this show does a lot is, like, when somebody's on their way to something, they have to cut back and forth to let you know they're still on their way.
Yeah.
It keeps happening. Like, they can't just show him get on the bike and then he'll show up when he shows up.
Hey, I get it, man. Like, when I have, when the PS4 is coming, I'm checking that Amazon, checking the UPS tracking to see where it is, right? Like, I just, I need to know Wolverine is coming.
the Domino's pizza app, but for sending a Wolverine to you. And it shows the little cartoon Xavier where he's like, takes a little cartoon Wolverine on and puts him on a bike and then it like scoots across the scene slowly.
Oh no, it says he's in the oven. He got the Wolverine and my pepperoni mixed up. Oh no! I need to call. I need to call Derek, my pizza specialist or my pizza artist or whatever they call it on their fucking website.
Yeah, the pizza specialist. There's one of my all-time favorite tweets. Is somebody, I mean, not to be the repeat tweet guy, but I'm very much him, and I've always been, is that, where, like, somebody, like, did a Photoshop, and the tweet was just like, uh-oh, this ain't good, and it showed the Domino's pizza guy, and it was like, your pizza being prepared by John, the guy who fucks pizzas, and it just showed, like, the smiling cartoon chef. Uh-oh, this ain't good.
So yeah, Wolverine. Xavier gets the signal. Wolverine jumps on his hog and cuts off. Rogue and Cyclops are practicing their lines, and Rogue kind of starts to have this like emotional moment with Cyclops of like, you know, I wish I could connect to people like you seem to be able to connect to Jean. But you know what happens when I touch people and things like that, and I was like, oh, this is really sweet. Like, I'm going to really enjoy this emotional process of her coming over to the X-Men side. And then Nightcrawler shows up and it's like, gotta go, I need him, bye. Poof.
Yeah, we gotta go. Gene emergency. Poof. And she even calls him out, like she's very annoyed by him during this. Like, I can't remember what she says about it. But she's just like, oh, that guy. And she's sad. Wolverine continues to, it keeps going kind of back and forth. Like, we're not doing all of these cuts, but it goes back and forth between kind of showing Jean waking up in wherever this is and Wolverine on his way.
I forgot. I forgot to mention this.
I like
when
this note, yeah.
When Kirk comes to get Scott, he's like, "Beam me up, Scott." He's like, "Will do, Cap." Like they do like a weird little like Star Trek like role play session, and I hope they do that all of the time because how sweet and pure is it to think about like Cyclops and Kirk just vegging out to some Next Generation and getting real into. I'm
That's
Picard
real
this week. No, I can't remember that. I'm Riker this week. I was Riker last week. You got to be Riker this week. Like arguing with each other who gets to be who, right?
Be amazing. Professor X just constantly in the background winking. Like, perhaps I'll play Picard. Wink, 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 wink. Like, yes, you think you can play Picard. So, Wolverine he's wearing his helmet because he has to make sure he protects his mutant skull.
Yeah. I mean, because he's also forgotten that he has healing powers, like most mutants do on the show. So,
and he Xavier can't exactly find her exactly just the general area. So Wolverine's on his way to kind of sniff it out.
Mm-hmm.
We come back and forth. Like Blob is there, and he's like, he's got all these candles. He's like, "Do you like it? I have a surprise for you." And I'm like, "Jesus Christ!" Like, they're gonna whip out Blob's weird dick. Like, I don't care for any of this. Wolverine arrives on site. Xavier
it's fat,
says,
but
hey,
short, just like me.
Yep, but strong. No laugh. Wolverine shows up, and Xavier's like, "Hey, hold up, wait for backup." And he's like, "No, I'm going in." And then Xavier says, "High school students, go and fight the other high school student. Go back Wolverine up, students. The adult murder machine you work for? Go be cannon fodder for him."
Yeah, the murder machine that was training you how to fight or how to play football earlier. You need to go back him up and go kill this high school student who's kidnapped one of our high school students. It's a whole fucked up situation.
We all know what you did last summer. Summarily execute Fred Dukes. Who? Blob. So Wolverine shows up and starts fighting Blob, which actually he's like trying to like suffocate him and stuff. It's like fun little Wolverine fight.
Yeah.
So Blob pins him, and Jean is trying to escape. Jean finally her powers kind of kick in, and she's like peeling off the rebar or whatever that Blob tied around her chair.
Mm-hmm.
And Cyclops shows up and goes, "If you fucking hurt her," and then zaps.
I will fucking kill your motherfucking goddamn ass.
Fucking kill you. Yeah. Will unbirth you piece of shit.
Listeners, special note: Cyclops' role was played by Samuel L. Jackson in this episode. They had to quit calling
it. Yeah,
don't want any Xaviers on this goddamn plane.
Xavier's on a plane. Yes, it's us.
1 million Xaviers.
Plane where every seat is filled by Xavier except for yours. Like, I would just be like, how can I put on my, like, that's when I'd want the Magneto helmet, because can you imagine being in that group text that they have going on in their brains? Like, all of them together, like 100 Xavier group text in their mind.
Here's the thing. I would just, like, if it's just me and 100 Xaviers on a plane, then I'm just, hopefully the plane has internet and I can start watching the foulest porn on my mind and just, like, burn it to my eyeballs. Just
stay out of here.
Yeah, hopefully he would, like, be able to stay out. Of course, that would backfire. He'd be like, "Oh, yeah. Haven't seen this before. Oh wait, I filmed this one. This one's me. This is my work."
Another connoisseur. Look there's me with a mask. I'm actually Big Dick Ape. In Big Dick Ape 2 Goes to Ass Camp.
Excuse me?
You thought yes. And there's 2 of me in Big Dick Ape 3. Now I want to make those movies.
Do you?
I like the idea of Big Dick Ape and Goes to Ass Camp. I don't know. I think it's a funny name for a porno.
I bet. I'll bet that it's that. I bet that exists.
It's already a thing.
Oh yeah, almost.
Let me see what Google has to say real quick about Big Dick Ape. My Google image search results are already. I'm not going to image.
This is just going to be Harambe.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't autocomplete, which is nice. So the first result is this monkey being an absolute dick on Reddit. Then there's some stuff I don't want to read.
Yeah.
Yep. It looks like it's mostly just regular porn.
Cool.
With the features above average dick.
Good deal.
No ass camp. So anywho, there's a fight.
Yes.
Cyclops blasts him, but doesn't have very much of effect. Blob throws Wolverine at Cyclops, knocks him out, but also knocks off Cyclops' visor, and Rogue takes a little sip.
Yeah, Rogue shows
Mike
up. She has followed them in. I guess she just followed them to watch them change into their uniforms from their high school, and then just followed them from there to, like, how Rogue is here is beyond the fucking pale, but whatever. She absorbs a little bit of Psyche's power and none of his control issues because she's able to just blast with her eyes regardless. Bob gets even madder and throws a filing cabinet at Jean, who catches it with her TK. So he just picks up, like, even something bigger at this point. And Rogue is, like, there and starts blasting them and then calls him a Yahoo, which seems like a real weak insult from the goth of the group.
Yeah, Yahoo. She's too southern. She's southern first, goth second. Apparently,
that's a bad priority system, Rogue. Get your shit together.
And she's like, do you know what my power is? And then he's like, "Whoa." and she's like, my power is your power. Does these, like, really good dodges? Like, Blob, like, throws, like, 4 or 5 punches, and she, like, matrix dodges him, and then taps him to steal his power, and then, like, drop kicks him and then blast him in the air into a landfill. Where are they? Again, like, if they're this close to a landfill, fucking A. But he lands in this filth, which is what he loves to roll around in. Yep. And all these seagulls are walking around doing seagulls. He's like, stop laughing at me. And I'm like, this is, like, really a comedy beat for this, this weird misery, won't take no for an answer nice guy,
Not all blobs, Gary.
So,
not all blobs.
Not all blobs, apparently. Yeah, hashtag.
I watched the Not All Men episode of the new Twilight Zone series. They have an episode called Not All Men, and it was pretty good. That whole season's pretty fucking good. So
I have not watched it yet, but I would like to. I only watch one TV show at a time.
You and Will were joking about, like, a haunted podcast, I think, or something, and they actually did that episode. Like, Adam Scott plays a character who gets on a plane and finds an MP3 player and starts listening to the podcast on the MP3 player, and it's somebody narrating the events that happened leading up to the plane that he's on crashing.
Interesting.
And it was actually pretty good. It was the guy that they got for the podcast was Dan Carlin from A Hardcore History. So, like,
that's pretty great.
So it's like a podcast voice that almost anybody listening to a podcast would recognize. It was really interesting. So anyway, we have to finish this episode. So Rogue gives Cyclops his visor back and then, like, runs off. Wolverine's like, don't chase her, she's not ready for us yet. And Kitty says, oh, well, we like totally owe her one. And then it's credits. And we are finished with this episode.
Well, they talk a little bit about how, like, she's on the bad side, but, like, she helped us out. She does a big solid. Like, they're setting up Rogue. And I think that's one of the cool, like, as opposed to in the comics when she's just like, I'm an evil mutant. No, I'm not. Like, I think that this high school is actually a really great way to do that transition. And it's a good episode. I just don't feel like any of the sympathy stuff with Blob works.
No, I don't. I mean, and I don't even know if they were trying to go for sympathy. Like, it seemed at the first you could interpret it that way, but, like, he does a heel turn so fucking fast that I don't necessarily think he was, like, I don't think that they were ever expecting us to feel bad for this dude. Like, even I think they probably were writing this guy so that everybody would laugh at the giant goofus, right? And then, he turns real super bad, and now we hate him. Like, I think that was as deep as this thing got.
I mean, maybe. I tend to think that usually, like, the kid who is bullied a lot and laughed at is generally a figure of sympathy, in things. But I think I could see this being a thing where, like, I mean, who knows? We'll never know what's in the writers' hearts, right? But, like, them playing with the idea of doing the trope that, like, because this came out in, like, 2000 or whatever, in kind of less woke times. And I wonder if it just wasn't the idea of, like, grabbing like a lady and being like, you're going to have to go on a date with me, didn't feel quite as gross. Because I remember seeing plots and things like that in cartoons and in sitcoms and shit in the 90s, right? Like, I mean, there's like it was always they were like cartoon cavemen who would, like, knock out women and grab them by their hair and take them back to their caves. And they weren't treated as heroic, but it also wasn't treated as, like, Weinstein-esque problematic in the way that it feels now. So I'm just kind of curious. I imagine this feels a little different than it did at the time it came out.
Yeah, I definitely think that they were. I mean, in my mind, they were just trying to make this dude as villainous as possible. Like they're really laying it on thick for Avalanche and for this guy and for presumably all of the, like they do with Quicksilver in the next episode. Like that dude is so,
yeah, Quicksilver definitely comes off pretty bad, but Toad didn't. And then
I don't know, man. So, like they just kept talking about how bad that dude smelled. Like
he's fucking awful. But the idea of him just being like the poor kid who like, I don't know. Maybe this is my own sympathy. Like it's weird to me if the show is just like, hey, the poor kids who get made fun of a lot are actually just evil.
Yeah,
right. Like that's weird to me. Like I guess that's maybe what I'm reacting to, because usually the message of anything is like, kids aren't inherently bad. They just have bad upbringings or people treat them like shit or whatever. Like
that is like the fundamental flaw in this show's like chosen way to adapt these stories is that like every time they introduce a villain, it's like this kid was a villain from when he was 13. Like he's just a shitty person. He didn't make these decisions.
And that's exactly what I'm picking up on.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's also it's fucking around a little bit with the idea of like Mystique corrupting them too. Like there's this idea, Mystique and Magneto have to have some kind of influence, but no, it's just the good kids gravitate towards the good guys and the bad kids gravitate towards the bad guys. And it's not like Xavier is teaching them to be good, and it's not like Mystique is teaching them to be evil. It's just some kids are good and some kids are evil.
This is
it's weird.
I feel like I just said this on this podcast, but like it's really like The Stand in the book, because either you're the survivor that gets the Mother Abigail dreams and you go to the good side, or you get the Randall Flagg dreams and you go to the bad side in Vegas and you have a horrible time about it. Like that's it. Like that's how we survived the apocalypse, right? Like you have someone gives you a dream, and if you luck up to have the Black Democrat dream, then you're in the good side. That's it. That's all it is.
Yep. It's just sorting people into the literal sorting hat is there's just two, and it's just one of them is kind of like a nice hat, and the other one's like one of those Dr. Seuss Juggalo top hats.
Oh God, yeah,
so,
yeah.
It's just kind of weird. I know that these kids don't turn. There's some shade that's brought to them later. So maybe that's something that will develop.
Yeah.
The next episode I think is called Speed and Spike.
Did I not put it in there?
It doesn't look like it.
Oh,
but I think that's the name of it. And this is directed by Gary Graham. Written by Rick Unger and Bob Forward. When Storm's nephew, Evan Daniels, is discovered to have mutant powers, he is reluctant to join the team. It's very terse, but that does happen.
Yes, it is called Speed and Spike. Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is going to introduce Spike, who is a character that was created for this TV show. And he's also going to be running up against Speed, aka Quicksilver, who is a enormous douchebag, and I kind of hate him in this episode all over. Like I just don't.
Yeah. He's a real jerk. I'm way into. I love Quicksilver in media. Like I love Quicksilver in the comics and stuff. He's always supposed to be arrogant. I think they just make him too much of an asshole in this. Like the arrogance is there, which is a classic, but he's supposed to be kind of haughty. And there's no haughtiness in this, I think.
Yeah, and
he's kind of the issue.
And they're definitely like villain coding him pretty rough even from the very beginning. So like we know that he's not going to end up on the good guy team because he's doing all of the bad stuff. We start out at a high school basketball game. I have a note in here for the music playing. I didn't pull a sample. I might try to do that, but it's like very bad Fresh Prince of Bel-Air music almost. Like it's like that kind of like, hey, we've got some white people on some 808s. Let's make a beat, everybody. And it's not the cool white guys that have been listening to this one since they were 13. Like it's all of the white guys that have been. It's Brian Wilson trying to make a rap to make a throwback. Like it's that guy's producer.
So we can get John Bryan to come here and do some hip hop, and that's what we got. Well, they have to establish it because they have to establish the urban flair because of basketball.
Of course, they did that in the
it's an urban sport.
Do you remember the X-Men fighting game we covered for Abject Suffering when I guested on Abject Suffering? And that's like they were literally playing basketball on one level, and like they played the weird urban hip hop music, and I'm like, come on, guys, this is so ridiculous. Anyway, so we have one kid who misses a layup. Storm is in the crowd and she's getting very excited about the game. She cheers on her nephew Evan, as he makes the last second shot, and we go into slow motion. He gets knocked over, and as the ball drops, go
real quick.
Yeah.
Can we talk, because they did this in the last episode? Can we talk about the slow-mo effects in this and how they suck really badly?
It's very bad.
It's like the frame rate is dipping. Is what it seems like. Like it turns into this weird like slideshow effect when they do slow mo. Like they just cut frames.
Yeah.
So it just becomes unanimated, and it does not look good.
It's very bad looking.
Yeah. I just like it happened in the last episode too, kind of randomly. Here though, it makes sense because it's a dramatic moment.
Yes, the game-winning shot as the ball drops through the net. We call that a brick. No, we don't. What do they call that? A goal? What's a brick in basketball? Do you know? Is that where if you're throwing up bricks, does that mean you're missing the goal?
Certainly do not recall. Yeah.
How many goals are in a basketball court, Gary? Let's see.
I don't. This is us getting into some real. So people who think that just me and Cole who don't know sports, this is great because people are going to be. I mean, I guess soccer, but like if because sometimes people get actually legitimately very mad at me and Cole about sports stuff.
Oh, really?
Which is very funny. Yeah, it usually happens on Abject Suffering, and they just like, usually if people are going to get mad at us, it's because we talk about politics or religion. But every once in a while, someone will be like, God, you guys got to fucking stop talking about sports. You don't know anything about it. And I'm like, we never claimed to.
That's what makes it funny. When
you get this as a comedy show, right? Like this is we're not trying to educate anybody about sports. I had the idea a long time ago for a podcast, which was just I would never do any research, and me and Cole would explain the rules of a sport.
That's kind of what that's the bit that I was about to go into. Was asking you a bunch of questions about the rules of basketball and see if you even got close to any of them.
I think there's 7 people on a team.
Okay.
I think that they don't really have positions. They just kind of run. Everybody tries to get into the. You're either on defense or on offense, and everybody's going for it. Okay. You can't touch each other.
I tell you what, you keep going. I'm gonna stop you as soon as you get something right.
Okay. You can't touch each other, right?
No, there's contact. You can touch each other.
You can touch. You touch each other. You get something right. Is it 2 points per goal?
That's partially right because there is a 3-point line. So if you
there's a 3-pointer you can do, and then you also get those free throws. Which are worth 1 point, right?
That's true. And I'll get you that. I'll give you that one.
Thank you. I did it.
I was hoping that would go for a lot longer.
No. I and then sometimes if one person is really bad, they become a horse once they spell it out.
Yeah. That's that's on the streets. That's not professional. They don't let horse transformation happen on the NBA anymore.
Yeah, nobody becomes an equisapien.
After the
sorry to dunk on you,
after the great horse stampede of 1996, when the entire team of the Chicago Bulls turned into horses,
the entire created the Chicago Fire, not the soccer team, but the Great Chicago Fire, as all the Bulls turned into horses.
Yep.
Well, they used to be bulls. Basketball though, it's the game that everybody loves to throw the ball. So that's happening here. More important than him making the game-winning shot though is his power activates, which are bone spikes that come out, and this is fucking disgusting. Like nobody, like when Marrow, who has this power basically in the comics, does this stuff, they got a lot of use out of how it's disgusting. At one point later, Quicksilver just straight up touches one of these things, and I'm like, gross, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, why are you doing? And he scrapes across the floor. He like creates this huge groove in the floor, and nobody cares. I was like, oh, he's outed as a mutant. And again, I need to remember, no one cares about that in this show. Like, it's so weird to me to watch X-Men media where nobody cares that mutants are mutants in public. Every single time it happens, it's surprising to me.
When we first started talking about doing this series, or I think even earlier than that, even when we were saying like, oh, like we may do this in the future, I was like, well, like I'm in an X-Men zone. Like I want to go and watch some of this and see if it's good. So somehow I watched this episode first. So this was my first exposure to Evolution, and seeing this part, I was very confused. I was like, why is nobody giving a shit that this dude just fucked up the basketball floor with spikes growing out of his arm? Like nobody seems to care. Like I expected Storm to like fill the place up with fog or some shit to hide his identity,
distract everybody.
Yeah. She's gonna strike the basketball goal with lightning and blow it or something. Like I just figured that there would be. Nobody gives a shit. So okay, I guess I don't either.
They just implied Xavier just scooting along behind everybody, erasing their minds constantly. Again, we talked about Amnesia High before, but like that's basically what has to be happening. you know. So the he fucks up the floor, but everyone's just very happy that he got the shot. We get the intro thing, and they're in the locker room. The white-haired kitty is playing against, who is Quicksilver, confronts him and says, like, hey, I let you have that shot. I'm sick of hide my light under a bushel to make idiots like you look good.
Yeah, and just
I'm like, okay, you're a huge dick.
Just to make a correction, he was on their right now. They're on the same team. Later, they'll be playing against each other.
Oh yeah.
So that's Quicksilver is jealous because this dude's getting all of the attention.
Yeah, and he's the one who passed him the ball.
Yeah,
so he passed Spike the ball to make the goal. Storm shows up, and Storm just walked into the boys' locker room in this high school.
Fuck it.
I want to talk about that for a second too, because I don't understand.
Dude, I'm from Africa. This is might as well be a unisex bathroom, okay? Fuck all y'all.
I find this whole thing very strange. Like, I just wanted it to cut over to like Pyro, like in his, with his dong hanging out and being like, "Oh shit, mate," and then like running into the shower because Storm just walked in to see. It's very weird that she comes in the locker room. This whole scene's real weird because she's like, hey. Like, we noticed that no one else noticed, but I noticed that, that big groove you put in the floor. He's like, I have it under control. He sneezes, and he, like, literally, like when Dick Tracy, like, uses a machine gun to draw around somebody,
mm-hmm.
like, and draw an outline around him. He does that with his spikes and almost just kills Storm.
Yeah. Almost fills her with weird, dirty bone spears.
Yeah. Like, gives her all of the diseases in his body. Like, any kind of, like, cold. Instantly, as soon as you touch one of somebody's bones. So just like, and she's just like, in control. I'm like, man, you just almost died. Stop it.
This dude almost sharded bones all over you, and you seem pretty chill about it.
Yeah, shard, man.
He sharded some shards.
Go for the shards. It's fucking disgusting. And this,
can we make Shards the title? Like, will we get in trouble on iTunes? I don't know what the line is on Apple Podcasts.
It's pretty gross. I think it might make some people not listen.
That's fine. I don't give a shit. I'm having too good of a time right now.
Well, this is also something too. So this is the fact that this is. It cuts over to Storm Spike's dad, who is Storm's brother.
Yeah, what the fuck?
The fact that Storm has this nephew, like Storm's got a brother now. So that's weird.
Does this come up in the comics at all? I don't remember
No.
I remember like all her family was back in the homeland, right?
Yeah, and she has that adopted that godson in the who's a speedster in the animated series.
In the animated series.
In the comics, though, I don't think so.
Weirdly enough, we had a whole debate about we had a conversation about basketball because I couldn't figure out if that was Michael Jordan's number or if that was like an actual. I think it was David Beckham's number. Like we had a whole thing about that in that episode.
Oh, whether it was soccer, the two sports I know the most about.
How many players are on a soccer team, Gary?
12.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Actually, I think there's
really.
I think there's 11.
Okay,
but you were close. I'll give you credit.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's really
honestly
good.
Like I'm pretty excited about that. Like
I'm pretty excited. I randomly guessed a dozen men on the field.
Yeah, good job,
man. If you catch any of the Women's World Cup games, the Women's World Cup is happening right now, and try catching those games. They usually come on around 4:00 your time on like Fox Sports or whatever. Like you should have like you can just stream them or whatever. The women play amazingly. Like the ladies, especially the U.S. women's team, are fucking badasses. So it's a fun game to watch. Cool. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I will take you to a series of intolerable soccer bars when you come visit me.
You're gonna be the one feeling intolerable when I'm like, no, let's just stay here. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, just like hang out here and like eat like it's none of them have good food in Portland. None of the soccer bar things. Like it's like you go in there like because it's like I guess I'll just eat some like shitty bar food.
Yeah,
and it's the loudest place in the world. And
yeah, that's a bummer.
So Spike's dad is there. He's making some steaks. And he's like really, really into the game. He's like, oh, that's such a good game. And Spike's being very casual. Like Storm's like, this is so weird. This scene happens right now. Like they couldn't have finished this conversation in the fucking locker room. They have to go to another night because like she's like, hey, come to Xavier. He's like, I don't want to go to Xavier. I have it under control. And she literally says, remember the locker room. And I'm like, you guys were just fucking there. What do you mean remember the locker room? That scene just took place.
That was that was like, do you remember where you were before we drove here? And if not, like we have to have another conversation about getting you to school.
Like if this is supposed to be a time lapse or something, that's where you want to cut in on a B plot.
Yeah,
or something like that. But this episode doesn't really have a B plot. Like it's kind of weirdly structured.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very weird. Like, remember that? Like, of course he fucking remembers that. It just happens. And she's like, well, I'll talk to your parents. And he says, oh, please, you don't have to do that. Wait until tomorrow. And she's like, okay.
So the next day, Spike, who only has the one outfit, has dressed in the same clothes, opens his locker and finds out that he was robbed. Someone. Well,
the other thing that happened, Xavier at some point text Storm.
That's right.
And says they'll go with Plan B with the nephew, which is ominous. And says, did you see anybody else exhibiting powers? Because there's another mutant in the game, but I couldn't pinpoint them. And I'm like, Cerebro is worthless.
I was about to say, what? Like, who are they paying? What are they paying Cerebro? And why is it not another SUV? Like, just
this hand crank, homemade Cerebro they have. So Storm says, she might know who the other mutant is. The next day, Spike is wearing those clothes. He opens his locker and he finds out he's robbed, as you mentioned.
Yep. Quicksilver shows up and says, like, oh, hey, if you want to catch the guy robbing you, you'll need some bait, and like hands him like some money. And the way at this point, like every once in a while, Spike says the word man at the end of the sentence, and it's like mon. Like it's almost like a weird Jamaican thing, but like Jamaica via Canada somehow. Like it's like trying to tell a Canadian.
The rest of his accent is not.
Is plain. Like he just sounds like just like a teenager. But like it's this weird emphasis on. Did you pick this up too, or am I just off in my own little world right now?
I noticed it a little bit. Yeah. So I noticed his voice is very strange in general. For this, like he's got kind of a weird affectation to his voice. And this is I think what I was trying to pick it up on. I dislike it. Also, this whole concept of like, if you're going to catch the robber, you're going to need some bait. Here's $300 is very weird to me as an idea. Because like, if you're going to catch like a way a robber works is not like, okay, robbers like money. If I have more money, the robber might come try to rob me again. I'm going to like ambush them. Like, what is their plan?
I don't know.
It's very strange to me. I don't think, they're not like bears attracted to honey. I don't understand what this like. Oh, he'll just know that he'll sniff it on me. It's weird. Of course, like, Quicksilver knows something that he doesn't know, but the fact that Spike is like, all right, this makes sense, is dumb.
And then we go from there to a little, like, almost an intervention type setup with Storm, Cyclops, Jean, along with Spike and his parents, basically just saying like, hey, you need to come to the school because you have crazy, terrifying, and gross powers, and we need to train you how to use them. And Spike is just like being like, fuck that, like, I don't want to end up like you. Like, what is your weird power? It points to Cyclops, and Cyclops is like, I can't really talk about that right in front of Jean. I'm sorry.
It's not an indoor power.
Yeah. And he just storms off, and his parents like apologize, but of course, like, but they're not going to do anything. And then, in one of my favorite scenes in this episode, Spike decides to sneak out of his house by jumping out of his second floor window with his skateboard and just skates the fuck off. Like, hell yeah, dude. Okay, fine. Now you're finally making sense to me. If I could have done this at your age, I would have. I
think that it's Xavier or somebody who's just kind of like detects it, like he's getting on a skateboard, and then it just cuts over to the skateboarding scene of him skating out the window, which is very funny. And the way they cannot draw a skateboard so it looks like it's not a hoverboard.
Yeah.
In this series, like it looks like it's off the ground all the time. There's no sense of impact or anything like that. It definitely looks like a hoverboard in a way that makes me wish they had just given him a hoverboard.
I mean, fuck it.
Like,
why not?
Fuck it. Yeah, at this point, fuck it. Serious fuck it. So he goes to the school. He's trying to find the robber. Like, okay. He spikes up because he didn't get them, and this whirlwind appears of books and shit like that. Knocks all the lockers, starts spinning things around, and turns out this is Quicksilver, who's in a supervillain outfit already. Super dorky, and he's the one who's been robbing people for kicks.
Yeah, man. I just like to rob because it makes me feel something inside. You know what I'm saying?
Like a big man.
Yeah.
And this is where Spike's like, oh yeah, I got powers. And what Spike does is somehow he can make these spikes into poles that are taller than he is, which has really disturbing implications for like the fact that these are like bone. And then puts himself in a little cage. Mm-hmm. Which then, like, Quicksilver kind of, like, fingers one of these spikes. He just kind of, like, runs his finger up, and he's like, oh, yeah, you got this. Well, I can take care of that. And then just grabs the poles, like, grabs the bamboo fence that he set up. Bone boo. fence, and then just like spins those around.
I prefer
like,
Bambone. Thank you very much.
Bambone. Oh, ram-a-lam-a-lam.
Bambone.
Bambone. It is just, it's a really lifeless and dumb confrontation scene.
Yeah, I don't like any
I think
of this.
here, like, yeah, it's silly. Like, I don't really understand what Spike thought was going to happen, and I think it's gross that he can like shoot a bunch of like bone staffs that are that big. I think that's gross.
And Quicksilver, who is like showing a level of planning that I have not seen in the show so far, has arranged for the cops to show up while Spike is here, like investigating the robbery. And of course, it looks like Spike is the one robbing the place, and because he's black, he immediately gets taken to jail, where not his parents, but Storm, Cyclops, and Jean shows up, and Jean's like, I know you didn't do it, but hey, if you come to school with us, Xavier will mind fuck everybody here, and you can just get off scot-free.
Yeah.
In other words, sign over your life, and we'll let you go.
Yeah, exactly. And he literally says, it's not like I have a choice.
Good job, everybody.
So,
good job. What are the chances this jail is just the danger room? Have we talked? Have we?
You
know what I'm saying?
And every time a kid goes to detention, it's just holographic.
Yeah. It's just the danger room, and Xavier's at the controls. That's what happens every single time.
The whole thing is a psyop. Like, Quicksilver is a figment of his imagination.
God, how deep does this go?
Yeah.
So we go to...
There's 100 Xaviers on a plane. It goes as deep as it needs to.
We go to breakfast, where all of our team regulars are hanging out. There's this weird moment where Wolverine is asking for sausages, and Jean like hands them to her with their TK, and he like stabs them with
the music.
Yeah, it's really it's a bizarre scene of like relating around these sausages, and I'm like, does this happen every day? Like, is this every fucking day that Wolverine's demanding that teenagers hand him a sausage?
I mean, probably. And then Jean has the spooky TK music as she hands it, and then Nightcrawler tries to teleport and steal one as a little comedy moment. It's like, hey, just pass. And Wolverine says a little rhyme that I think might be a Canadian thing, where he's like, I can't remember what it is, like, if you ask, then I'll pass, or something like that. Like, he says a weird little, like, euphemism.
Yeah.
Or not euphemism, little saying. It's very weird, and just kind of like, I don't know, stop showing off your powers. You guys live together.
Ask, pass, or cash. Nobody rides for free.
Ask, pass, or cash. Excuse me, Logan, sir? The idea of all these people eating breakfast with Logan every morning is really fun to me, though.
Oh, yeah.
And whenever Logan puts his claws in food, I think that's very funny and unsanitary and disgusting.
Yeah, you just, again, going back to that, I think it was it the Christmas episode, or when he's sneaking into the Hellfire Club, and or Thanksgiving episode where he's just taking chunks of that fucking turkey leg off. Jesus Christ.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
I'm glad that's back. I'd watch an entire episode of just how Wolverine eats.
We should talk about that, because we got added on Twitter a couple of times, and I had a couple of people DM me about it. But apparently, that original team that made X-Men the animated series has gone to Disney and been like, "Hey, since you guys own this again, like, let's do another cartoon. Why don't you let us pick up where we left off?" Which is fucking bonkers, and I'm so here for it.
Well, see, I mean, I really my main question with those dudes is like, do you remember where you left off? Because where you left off featured Jubilee's Fairy Tale Theater and the episode about the Mayans who worship Apocalypse while Beast takes Jubilee to... Like, have you guys seen the 5th season of your cartoon? Because I have.
Xavier doesn't Xavier get into a spaceship and leave in the last episode?
Yeah, Xavier's dying and he goes to the Shi'ar. Like, I mean, I would, like, sincerely, like, that would be the thing that pushes me over on that Disney streaming service. Which I've thought about anyway, because it's like I'm interested in those new Marvel shows, but that would be fucking amazing. Like, even if it was shitty, like, I would be like, man, I'm happy I lived to see this dumbass thing happen. Because it's hard for me to imagine it being super good. Oh. It might be nostalgic and fun. It would look cheap, though, I bet. I bet you they wouldn't, like...
I definitely don't want it to be good, Gary. I want to make sure I'm very clear about this.
Like, I don't think it could be good. I don't know. Part of me wants to, like... Because they did have all those production problems in season 5. Like, what if they didn't have those? Maybe it would have been better, but, like, I don't know. I don't know, man.
Like I said, I don't want it to be good. Also, that Disney thing is only like $5 a month, so I feel like that's with all of the Marvel stuff on there, I have to do it. So
yeah, I likely will too. Well, and also it's Disney, so they own Fox. That's how I'm going to get Simpsons stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I no longer have to do the
bullshit Simpsons
the weird
world crap.
Well, I was trying. That's what I was trying to do with fucking cable. They're like, we can give you Business Blaster Plus for $130. I'm like, fuck your Business Blaster Plus. I don't need that. Like, you can increase your speeds. Like, my speeds are fucking fine. I want to watch one channel.
I just want all of the Simpsons
for bed. You fucking asshole. Like, why are you like this? Like, why are you like this, cable TV?
So
anywho,
Xavier's talking about how he has enrolled Spike at Bayville High School and wants him to join the basketball team. For some reason, Spike is like on the balcony on the second floor and just listening to all of this and is getting super mad about it. And I don't know why. Like, they're all like, everyone's saying nice things about Spike and it's like, oh, I hope he fits in well. And Xavier's like, I hope he joins the basketball team. And Wolverine's like, I want to touch his penis. And then, like, nobody,
yeah, I want to,
like, nobody said anything.
Like, everyone is. They are like dividing this teen up like it's a somebody who just died and they need to harvest his organs before they die.
So, yeah, maybe so. We go over to the school where our delinquents are all outside the principal's office, which is Avalanche, Toad, and the Blob. They're waiting to see the principal, who is currently talking to Magneto, who wants her to recruit Quicksilver for like reasons, I guess. Like, I know he's. So even in the movies, he's very, very impressed with speedsters. But
I think that I mean, this could be back in comics continuity. This could be his son.
Oh, sure, yeah. I just wanted to mention that moment where he sees that chick move fast, and he's like, "Nice."
Yeah, that does happen. He's just like, "What can you do?" So he's way into this. It'd be interesting if it was his son. It'd be a cool place for the plot to go because people tend to paper over that. Remember when we talked about Apocalypse and we thought, oh, maybe the Quicksilver Magneto thing would get resolved in Dark Phoenix. Remember that? So the movies decided just not to do anything with it the entire time.
So fucking
maybe the cartoon will.
I kind of like
because Quicksilver gets all of like 6 lines in that fucking movie.
Yeah. And I thought they were leading up to do a big Quicksilver like set piece, and then they pull you the rug.
They just kind of don't do it.
Yeah, which I actually kind of dug. Like as somebody who did not like the one in Apocalypse, I was very done with that anyway, so I was glad we didn't have to go through another, like, what's his name thinks he's funny. Anyway. Yeah. In the cartoon, I very much like this, like, noir Magneto they've got going on right here. Like, obviously, like, the voice actor is great, but he's just in the dark and in the shadows, and I'm really glad that he's not, like, right up front. I feel like as soon as we see him in all of his magenta glory, like, I'm going to immediately lose a bunch of respect for him. But right now, I'm having a great time with Magneto.
Yeah. Yep, I want to see him actually get into things.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see him, like, actually, I want the plan to be revealed. Like, this is the first, I mean, we talked about this in the last episode. I think that the one thing about this season is doing an entire season of getting the team together, like, and not knowing anyone's motivations or anything like that does kind of hurt the show a little bit. Yeah. Like, I actually like both these episodes. This one is worse than the last one, but they've been fun. Like, these have been fun watches. I just want to get to some big picture stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty badly. So Spike's in the danger room, which they've changed into a Tony Hawk level.
Fuck yeah, gamer! I'm here for this.
Yeah, it's very funny that it's just like, okay, we know you're going to be fighting crime. We assume you're going to do it on your skateboard.
Yeah, you're definitely. I mean, like the skateboard is your superpower. And he's like, no, it's the bones. And Xavier's like on with his finger on the temple. No, it's your skateboard. It's like, oh shit, it's my skateboard.
Yeah. Well, there's that. It's funny because there's tons of Ecstatics DNA in this because Ecstatics had Spike. And had a character named El Guapo whose superpower was a skateboard.
Dope.
I don't know if you ever read that comic, but it's pretty fun. So Gene is throwing while he's skating. Gene is throwing bowling balls at him, and Scott's shooting at him, which he dodges and eventually gets knocked off. Wolverine helps him up, and Kitty says like, "Hey, the coach wants him at school to play a basketball game against his last school right now."
He hasn't even they haven't even shown us him going to this school yet.
He hasn't gone to class. Yeah. It's just this is a lot like fucking like recruitment for basketball, like where they like will be really shady and underhanded. I can't remember what that movie is about. There's that documentary about it.
Oh, Gary, please tell me more about basketball recruitment. I'm here for what you think is happening in the nation right now.
Tell me. Well, this is real though. There's a movie about it where it's like it's kind of underhanded. Like people will go and try to recruit for college basketball teams, and they will offer like students like these huge ridiculous packages, even though they're not good students, to get them on the basketball team. Like I know a thing or two about high school or college sports, how that works from working in like universities and shit. Like I've seen budget lines and things for this stuff.
Yeah, LSU just
and I've had like
lost a basketball coach because of corruption like this, him bribing.
Yeah,
players
it sucks,
stuff.
man.
Yeah.
Like I used to work in the advising office, and people would come. Students would have academic advisors, which were their advisors who would
tell them to do homework.
Major,
you should do all of your homework.
Exactly. Would try to we're the student part, but they would also have an athletics advisor whose job, and I shit you not, like as far as I could tell, their only job was to come and plead with academic advisors to get them to like bypass classes and shit. It's like they had a professional like advocate to try to stop them from having to do schoolwork so they could play well on the sports team so the university got more money. Like it was pretty grotesque.
Yeah.
And that is what has happened here. That's what happened to Spike.
And if you combine that,
or anything,
at least Spike gets paid in cars. Like a lot in the real world, these players don't get paid anything. So
they get paid in like carpal tunnel syndrome and arthritis and like blowing out their knees at 23.
Like you have to think about how fucked up it is that the NCAA is so committed to not paying these kids and to not giving them any money that they're like, yeah, we're just not going to let EA do a game about it. Like that was one of the most successful franchises of all time. Like it was a sports game that people would buy every year because it was exciting. They did a good job with it. And they were like, no, we're just going to leave millions of dollars on the table. We would rather not earn millions of dollars than allow these kids to earn a single dollar. Like it's super fucked up. Yeah.
Super fucked.
Anyway.
It's so I know something about that. Don't front to me about like I know that part.
I didn't have a chance to break in. I was going to ask if you knew any rules to bowling because Gene was throwing bowling balls at the guy, but we just ran past it.
I know there's a turkey involved.
Yep.
Like a turkey thing happens. Yep, so that's correct. And 300 is the best game you get. You can roll a perfect game. It's 300, and you have to get all strikes. And you go into a weird overtime. Like in basketball or in bowling ball.
I'm going to stop you when you get something wrong, Gary. Keep going.
Well, it's as opposed to getting right, I'm growing. I'm getting better. I think you get a bonus the way you get 300 points, even though because a strike is worth extra points. And once you get you do your 10 rounds or what have you of bowling, and if you do strikes the whole time, you get 3 little bonus rounds. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's correct. And then if you get all those, I don't know how it ends up adding up to 300 rather than 130. That's like the one thing I don't know.
Well, I mean,
because it's not like a strike is worth 30 points.
You need to go to scoring school to really get into all the details of that. So we don't have time for that in this X-Men podcast.
It's like one of those. Whenever those places they teach you how to be a tattoo artist, they also probably have scoring school.
Yeah. It's bowling. It's bowling school. Yeah. It's tattoo artist school, and it's getting ordained as a minister. Like that's
exactly.
You can get a 3-for-1 special.
One big in an unmarked building in the industrial district. So he has to go to an emergency basketball game. Outside, Spike and Quicksilver kind of talk trash about each other. And they get into a little bit of a fight. Quicksilver shows up or Cyclops shows up. Quicksilver throws him to the ground and he's like, yeah, I'm the one who trashed the school. Fuck it. Spike chases Quicksilver as he runs away, but has to stop to do a basketball game. Like it's a little bit confusing here, the action.
Well, they're coming out
Quicksilver's
of
running
the basketball game and he has to change into his X-Men uniform that he already has. It's really fucking weird when people show up with their uniforms or not.
Yeah. And Quicksilver, when he's running down the street, blows a bunch of windows and flips a bunch of cars and shit. So, yeah.
And Cyclops and Jean show up, and they are also in uniform. Again, high school basketball team wearing your X-Men uniform.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Quicksilver runs by again, and it's kind of like taunting them and being a sarcastic asshole. And Cyclops tells Jean, like, hey, he's not going to be able to run away if his feet aren't touching the ground. So, Jean lifts him in the air and tells Scott, like, oh, I'm not going to be able to hold this very long. And then Quicksilver says, hold on to this, baby. It's Twister time. which is the classic, as everybody knows, that's an X-Men fan. That's the classic Quicksilver catchphrase. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It's his main thing. It was under every issue of X Factor.
Yep.
Like under the logo, it said, hold on to this baby. It's Twister time. And then when he actually had a baby with Crystal of the Inhumans, when the doctor pulled the baby out of Crystal, the doctor said, hold on to this baby. it's Twister time. And it was a nice little callback. He said it in like a sad voice.
Quicksilver said, "Is the baby alive? I've had so many dead babies with this woman. What is happening to me? This is literal torture."
It's Terrigen mist powers. Tell me if it's alive.
Our genetics are so fucked up, Doctor. I told you not to fuck with me when this baby was delivered.
I shouldn't have. That's why you don't have babies with Inhumans.
It's the only reason we came to you.
Don't mix.
Otherwise, we just let Hank deliver it again. God, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But fucking Chuckles over there always joking about babies being dead.
When I say it's Twister time, sir, it's the umbilical cord is twisted. I'm very sorry.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry for the joke. The X-Men are about to be kind of blown away by Twister time, but Cyclops manages to hit Quicksilver out of the air, and Spike pins him against the wall with his disgusting organic bone spikes. Quicksilver's like, "Hey, you don't have proof that I robbed the joint." But Spike recorded him because it's like internal affairs now or something.
Sure, why not? Okay.
This catching the thief plot ended up actually being more important than you might think. And Quicksilver goes to jail, but is actually Magneto's danger room.
Yes.
And and he knows Magneto.
And Magneto wants him to do a job for him, presumably clean his house under 5 minutes.
They're very fast. Yeah, you get paid per hour, not per task.
Maybe Magneto's kink is just watching people do things faster than normal people. Like, I wonder if he just has like a special VCR that when you fast forward it just shows people moving like you know how people listen to podcasts at 2 times the speed. Like maybe he just speeds up his porn and that's how he cranks one out every night.
Yeah, he does like speed ASMR.
Exactly.
You know.
Yes. Speak to me quickly, baby.
yeah. I need you to fold these envelopes at super speed.
Who's the pervert that's listening to ASMR podcasts and is like, "Dope, I need to get through these. I got to listen to them at 2 speed."
Get through these things. Gotta find out what happens next. Yeah,
I don't have time. I don't have time to listen to this and be calmly. Oh, Jesus. And Quicksilver agrees, and they end up leaving together. He opens the, he's the master of metal or whatever. He opens the jail.
And then this great little Easter egg. I love this. Like, they're at the mansion, they're doing pool time, because I like how the cartoons tend to do this kind of thing where they would have those, in the Claremont era, they'd have those, like, baseball issues, like, where just hanging out.
Yeah, you're talking about it in the comics. Yeah.
Yeah, in the comics. And here they're doing it, and they play this like different remix of the animated series theme.
Yeah, I want to knock a little bit of that in here just for people to listen to it. But it's very like flamenco guitar version of X-Men the animated series. And I looked for this. Like I'm one of those people that like if I could find all of the background music for the animated series, I would buy it immediately. But you can't find any of that shit anymore. You can get rips from it from the episodes, obviously, but all of it sounds terrible. I would love to have a full copy of this. It sounds so fucking chill.
Yeah, it's good. I dig it. So yeah, nice little moment as everyone's having this this fun pool time where Kurt dives in the water and knocks Kitty into it, which happens. Xavier says he's glad Spike's there. Spike jumps conservatively 70 feet into the air and does a cannonball, like from a standing jump.
Yeah.
I have no idea how this happened or what this is, but he just like leaps in the air like fucking Superman. And then lands on Kitty's pool float with spikes and pops it.
I mean, he says it's with Spike, but it could have been his big old donger that did it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I didn't consider that, but you're right.
I don't know why his erection is pointing straight down at a cannonball, but you know, he's the X-Man. Who knows?
Make way for Spike. Yeah. And then the episode ends, and it's I don't know. Now that talking about it made it feel worse in my head. Like when I was watching it was fine, and then like talking about it, it's like kind of a shitty episode. I liked the first one just fine.
Yeah.
Even though like Blob is garbage, but I thought these were pretty fun. Like the pace of the show is good.
Yeah, they move plot pretty quickly. I didn't like this one very much at all. I like the Blob episode a lot better. This one, like, I don't really care about Spike, and like none of the other X-Men got time to do X-Men things, which is what I'm here for. So like introducing this brand new person that's going to be like part of the X-Men and then has this like weird relationship with them from the start is very bizarre to me. And also like Quicksilver just did not make any sense in this episode. Like it's just the dumbest shit ever. So I'm kind of negative on this one, but I'm pretty positive on the main one.
On the other one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I watched them together, so they kind of blurred for me.
Sure.
You know, but I agree. I think the Blob one's a little bit better. I think we have now introduced the teams. Like, is there Gambit like shows up at some point? I know, but I don't know if that's this season. we might be ready to start some plot.
So the next 2 episodes that we'll cover on this podcast, one is related to Forge.
What? So sorry, you cut out there. What is that?
One is related to Forge, who is trapped in a different universe, and one is related to Scott and Jean going on a geology club excursion. So
okay,
so
no, we won't be hitting the plot. Yeah, but
yeah,
the middleverse,
yeah. So
but it looks like looking at the thing, it looks like it's about Kurt and Scott's friendship, which I think sounds fun.
Yeah, I could be down with that. I really like them in this episode, so or in this series so far, so I could be down with that.
It looks like the first episode where it's like actually doing some kind of plot stuff. They go to summer camp at some point.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Rogue, a Wolverine episode. Maybe it's the final 2 episodes of the season.
Yeah.
The Cauldron, part 1 and 2 might be what we get. And then season 2 will be more, the actual plot.
Yeah.
So hopefully. Yeah, boy. Episode 48. Spike makes his return, having turned into an angry vigilante who protects Morlocks.
Fuck yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So there we go. Yeah. Nick Fury of S.H.I.E.L.D. releases Bolivar Trask and orders him to build improved Sentinels. There we go.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it is 4th season, but we're going to get there at some point. There's also an episode in the 4th season called Cajun Spice.
Woo!
So looking forward to that. Yeah, looking forward to that.
Oh, good.
It contains the sentence, "The X-Men notice Rogue went missing." Great.
The notice in
Good
there is
job,
doing
X-Men.
a lot of work.
Yeah, great job, X-Men. It's an X-Men emergency. If people like the show, what should they do, Jeremy?
They should go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and donate a little bit of cash and get some cool benefits, like episodes of podcast early. Depending on what tier you are, you can get access to the Slack channel. You can get access to the Bonfire Side chat rekindled with a bunch of cool stuff about Sekiro and various other brand new Souls likes. You can also get the opportunity to suggest stuff for Cole and Gary to cover. Just all kinds of good stuff is over there. So do that. If you can't do that, ratings and reviews go a long way, or even just telling all of your X-Men friends about this cool X-Men podcast, and don't tell them about any of the dirty stuff. Let them find that on its own and see if you see, because if they like it, you can trust them. If they come back to you and say this is gross, they're secret Christians. Get out of here, secret Christians.
Yeah, they're Skrulls. So if they show up and they're just like, hell yeah, like Spike popped an inner tube with his dick hole, then
they're down.
Yeah, they're down. And if they're just like, I didn't really get it. Like all they did was talk about teenager Wang and sports. And I'm like, well, I guess this isn't for you.
Maybe you should try Jay and Miles Explain the X-Men.
Yeah, that's just
they seem very focused on the actual content that
there's a more on topic version for sure. You should also come to Duckfest. Yes. August 31st. Save the date. Keep an eye out for tickets. We'd love to see you.
Oh,
and we will be there.
This is the first time we've recorded. Can I plug something real quick? Would you mind?
Of course you can.
Me and Autumn have an ongoing podcast now. It's called Dead Blood Club. You can reach it at deadblood.club. You could go to iTunes or Google Play or wherever and type in Dead Blood Club. It's me and my wife Autumn, who you've heard on Duckfeed before. She's on Radio Free Midworld quite a bit, but she and I are covering the interview or the vampire series from Anne Rice. We're starting with Interview with the Vampire. And we're doing the books. We're going to cover related material. I'm going to try to get Gary on to do some comic book stuff because the comic book adaptation is, as you might imagine, pretty hilarious. But
also,
we're going to
keep me in mind for that movie.
Oh yeah,
I have a lot of affection for Interview with a Vampire, the movie.
Oh, not Queen of the Damned with Aaliyah? You're going to go with?
I have not seen Queen of the Damned, but I'd be willing to watch it for you,
dude. It's an experience. Let me tell you,
the Queen of the Damned. It sounds like a ride. Like
it is
Queen of the Damned experience now at Universal Studios.
But if you like me, that's going to be a podcast you like, and Autumn's way better than I am at everything. So come listen to that Deadblood.club. Or just keep listening to this podcast and go to daysoffuturedast.com and send us your contact. No, don't send us your contact information. Send us your thoughts and feelings about X-Men Evolutions. And when we do our feedback episodes at the end of each season, we will read them out loud. And come to Duckfest and be good until you see us next time.
And Umbasa.
Fucking Basa.